Hello, welcome back to my channel. It is early in the morning. Well, it's early right now while I'm recording. Do I look awake? Because I don't think I do. I don't sound awake, but I really want to get this video recorded and uploaded. It is the Seeking Sister Wives Season 3, Episode 3. I gotta have faith. I gotta apologize because in my last video, I said that I was gonna spend all weekend editing, and that didn't happen because I didn't really realize it was the holiday weekend and I wasn't gonna be home at all, and I wasn't, so I couldn't really do anything. But this is gonna be a quick video because not a lot happened in this episode, and also because I have to head to work like in a half an hour. I go in like once a week, but we won't get too much into that. Let's just jump in to this video. Like I said, the storylines were inched along again. We didn't even see the Clarks, Jared, Vanessa, and Kayla. I think a breakup is on the horizon because I don't think they got a lot of footage of this couple, and they kind of previewed it in the previews for next week, but we'll get into that next week. Right now we're going to get into the Snowdens, which is Ashley, Dimitri, and Chrissy. Chrissy's still in LA visiting from South Africa. They're kind of wrapping up her visit. They've taken her to the beach, they've taken her hiking. She's spent sister time with Ashley, she's bonded with Dimitri, and it all is going seemingly well. And then Ashley and Dimitri drop the bomb on us. It wasn't really a surprise because we saw it in the trailer that they are also courting a second sister wife by the name of Taylor. She's 29. She lives in Atlanta. She's never been in any kind of polygamous relationship. She doesn't have kids. And they met her about 2 months after they met Chrissy. I don't think they said how, through social media. I'm not sure, but they've been in contact, corresponding, getting to know her through text message and FaceTime. And admittedly, Ashley tells us that it's a lot on the plate. It's a lot to have to sort of navigate these different personalities and feelings, because it's not just like one sister wife they're bringing into the mix, but two. And everybody does know about everybody. Chrissy knows about Taylor. Taylor knows about Chrissy. I think they may have even FaceTimed each other like apart from Ashley and Dimitri. And so Ashley, Dimitri, and Chrissy get on FaceTime to call Taylor and kind of say hi, and they're all together, and they have a really nice rapport back and forth. The only concern, maybe, assuming they all come together and they all mesh well, is that Chrissy has 2 kids, the Snowdens have 3 kids, and Taylor's coming in to a house with 5 young kids. And that would be a lot for me as someone who doesn't have kids. And I mean, I've been around kids, and I'm sure Taylor has too, but it's a lot to have to live with 5 children, like all under the age of 10. But she seems up for the challenge should it get to that. So, I mean, there really wasn't much there. I mean, she's a cute girl. So we kind of end their segment with Dimitri taking Chrissy like on one last date to go salsa dancing. And there's clearly chemistry, attraction. I mean, Chrissy's a dream girl, if you ask me. It wouldn't be hard for me to fall in love with her. She's gorgeous. She's effervescent. She's always smiling. She's positive. She has a really nice vibe and energy around her. So, you know, the same thing with Ashley. Like, you know, how could you not like this girl? And, you know, although Ashley isn't like, she's not in a relationship intimately with her, but, you know, she seems perfectly pleasant to be around, you know, more so than that. You know, I'm really kind of just, anyway, it's early. So that was really it for their segment. Chrissy leaves, like, is set to leave the next day, and Taylor will then be coming in to visit. So that's them. Moving on to not a new couple to the show, but a new couple to me. They were on the previous season. Colton, Tammy, and Sophia. Colton and Tammy were sort of the original husband and wife, and they have a young daughter. I apologize, I did not write her name down. They brought Sophia in as a second wife, and when they first got together, they were all living separately in Utah due to the laws regarding polygamy. But if you've been watching the Sister Wives season, the laws have recently been changed so that polygamy is no longer a felony. It's been dropped to a misdemeanor, I believe they said, which like equates to like a traffic ticket. That's how they always describe it. So now they feel safer to live together in one house, and so now they are. They found a pretty big house that they all loved, that can accommodate all of them as well as future potential sister wives and children. Sophia is pregnant with a son, I believe, and everybody's really excited and looking forward to it. You know, the segment was really just about them sharing how they've adjusted to all living together in one house and kind of having to create sort of a routine or a schedule that Colton can sort of, follow regarding time spent with each wife. And they say that, like Sophia's room is upstairs on this side and Tammy's room is downstairs on that side, and it works out perfectly because nobody has to hear anybody have sex. And I'm like, oh, we're gonna speak the word that is never spoken on Sister Wives, which is understandable. It's private, I get it, but this is the learning channel. We're here to learn some things, right? Teach us, how does that all work? So it works with them being on opposite ends of the house. They are now sort of, their whole storyline is them also, the whole show is these couples seeking sister wives. So they have met a woman by the name of Kimberly. She lives in North Carolina. She's 30. She's a teacher. She has a daughter. She sought the Winders out. That is their last name, if I didn't mention it. The Winders out through their Facebook or their social media has reached out to them. And for about a year, they've been talking, FaceTiming, texting, and they've really taken the relationship as far as it can go. If you want to call this dating or courting, long distance, having never met, I don't really consider it dating, but, no judgment. So they decide to invite Kimberly out to visit them so they can see what it's like in person, because you never know. Same thing with the Snowdens and Taylor and Chrissy. You never really know what the dynamic is until you're all together in person. We all agree on that. So they get Kimberly on FaceTime. And the editing, I think it's the editing. They kind of make it seem really awkward and quiet. And they're just kind of looking at each other so... Good to see you. Yeah, good to see you. I think it's the editing. But, point is they invite Kimberly hey, we want to invite you to come to Utah to visit us. Would you be open to that? And she's like, yeah. So she's going to visit, but they tell her, we would really like you to come before the baby is born so that we can really just focus on getting to know each other and filling this all out. And that happens in 8 weeks, baby's going to be here. So can you find something? And she's like, yeah, sounds good. She's just, on board. So they're like, cool, find a ticket, let us know, see you when we see you. And they hang up and they all feel really good. I have a good feeling about this. I think this is going to work out. Yeah, that went really well. And I don't have a good feeling about it, maybe just based on the trailers and previews we've seen. But, we'll see. That's pretty much all that happened. That's it. So moving on to Tasha and Sidian. Again, a really short segment with them. They go to a bar to seek out sister wives. Sidian shares that alternative relationships have come a long way this day and age, and I agree. I think meeting people putting yourself out there to be rejected is hard for anybody, probably more so for them, I would imagine. But they don't really want to meet somebody on a website or a dating app. They met in person. They have polygamous friends who've met organically in person, so it's possible. So that's what they're trying to do. They see the server waitress kind of walking around. She's a cute girl. She kind of looks to be their type. She's just sort of fresh face, no makeup, tattoos, cute girl. But she's working. She's in the middle of her shift, and they're like, "Excuse me, could we talk to you?" And she's like, "Hold on, let me go take care of this customer. I'm gonna get their drink." She comes back and she's like, I think she thought they were gonna order something. She was like, "Hey guys, how are you doing?" And they tell her "Oh, could you sit? Can you sit with us for a while?" And she's like, "Okay, sure." She introduces herself "Hi, I'm Faith," and they introduce themselves. And Sidian's just "Well, we couldn't help but notice you across the room. You have a beautiful smile." And Faith is "Oh, yeah, thank you." And he tells her just straight out, "We just want to let you know, we're polygamists." And she's like, "Oh." And again, might have been the editing because her mouth dropped open and stayed open for a good 10, "Oh," editing. And so he's like, "What do you think of that? How do you feel about polygamy?" And she says what I probably would have said, just if, that's what people want to do, perfectly fine. It's not for everybody. And she tells him, it's really great how open you two are about it. And they're like, yeah. And then they sort of tag team her, because then Tasha's like, "Well, how do you feel? Would you be open to going on a date with Sidian or the both of us even?" And she kind of takes like a beat, like, oh, maybe she didn't really know that this was where it was going. I mean, you see a camera crew, but she thinks about it like, you can see it mulling over in her head. And she does probably what I would have done, like, sure, why not? Like, here's my number, sounds like fun. And she walks away, and Tasha and Sadie are just like, yeah, they high five, like, score, we did it, awesome, that went great. And then, you know, the producers run over to Faith while she's like punching in orders into the computer, like, okay, so how do you really feel? And she's like, you know, they seem really nice. It's really great how open they are, you know, like, it seems like it'd be fun, like, what's the harm? And I agree, like, I think Faith has a good attitude, and it's probably how I would have handled it, because I'm gonna guess that polygamy really isn't her thing, but they are nice people. What's one drink? I mean, I guess it could be argued you might be leading them on and giving them false hope that you potentially are really interested, when really you just want to be nice. Because I know, like, when I've gone out in the past and I've been asked out, even if it's by someone who was 100% not my type, I'm always flattered that you see something in me and have like the courage to like approach me. That 9 times out of 10, I'm like, sure, like, what can a drink hurt? You know, it could be a good time, and you never know. Like, you never know. I mean, well, I would know that I would not be interested in polygamy, and maybe you would say that up front, like, hey, you know, gotta let you know, like, polygamy, it's really not my thing, but you guys seem like a fun couple. I thought we could just, you know, have a drink and maybe be friends. I don't know. Is that the wrong way? I mean, you don't want to waste people's time either. I don't know. But I mean, she seems like a really, you know, cool girl, great attitude. I'm not at all upset by the way she handled it. It's probably how I would have handled it. When you're actually, let's not forget, you know, you have a camera crew around, you're put on the spot. You don't want to like totally reject people on camera. So that was pretty much it for them. I guess we'll see their date with Faith in the future. And that brings us to our last couple, my favorite, Danielle and Garrick. So they are getting ready to go, ooh, shaky. They're getting ready to go to Mexico to meet with Roberta for the second time and spend 8 days this time with her. They get to Mexico and they see Roberta like in the hotel bar, and they like, Danielle and Roberta like run to each other and they're crying and they embrace like they're for real long lost sisters. Garrick hugs Roberta and he's like, oh, you know, it's so nice to like hug her, and oh, her hair is just so silky smooth and soft and shiny, and she's so tiny. She's like the tiny wife, and she's the larger wife. And I'm like, really, Garrick? Like, I don't know. Again, maybe I'm being a little nitpicky and maybe I'm being too harsh on him, but why does he gotta compare them in that way? Like, does Danielle have like stringy, thin, nappy hair? Like, or why do we have to call her the larger wife? Can she be the taller wife? I don't know why larger just has like a negative connotation, but why are we even comparing them in this way? And maybe he's not doing it purposefully, but it's not a good look when you're doing or saying things like that. To me, it's just ugh. Anyway, so they all sit down and we get a little bit more information on Roberta. She's 33. She's never been in a polygamous relationship. It's always been one man, one woman. She was studying like religions of the world and had this long conversation with her professor who was explaining and sharing information about Mormonism, and she just really felt connected and to the sister wife lifestyle and called to it. So she jumped on the polygamous dating website, and here we are today. So they're sitting at the bar and, you know, they're having conversations through their translator app, which is so, I mean, I guess it's what else can you do? Nothing else you can do. And you can tell Roberta is trying to really make an effort to make Danielle feel comfortable, because she knows she knows they just got a divorce. She knows that must be really hard on Danielle or any woman. So you can tell she's reaching out to her, holding her hand, trying to include her, because Garrick is like, all eyes and energy is focused on Roberta. Like, Danielle isn't even there. So much so that, and also he keeps referring to Danielle as sister. Like, oh, Roberta, tell sister how your flight was. Oh, Roberta, sister says that, you know, you get me all to yourself. And Danielle's kind of like, no, wait, that's not exactly what I said. And I'm just like, why does he keep calling her? Like, why can't he? I don't expect him to call her wife, because she isn't his wife anymore legally anyway. But how about Danielle? Danielle, tell Roberta how the flight is. Oh, hey, Roberta, Danielle said that we can spend all our, like, I get what he's trying to do. He's, again, trying to deflect and like sort of soften the sort of reality of what's really going on here is that you divorced your wife to marry this new woman. And, you know, by calling her sisters kind of like, oh, it's just this family thing. Because he also does share with us, you know, he believes that, you know, although there is no intimacy between Roberta and Danielle, absolutely not, you know, their relationship can still be as intimate as his and Roberta's. And I'm like, no, that's not really the way it works. But you know, I'm not even going to give you a point for trying, but you're really trying by he keeps referring to her as sister, and I don't like it. And then, you know, to top it off, if it doesn't get worse than that, he looks at Roberta and says like, you know, it's really late. We've had long flights. Let's put sister to bed. And I'm like, if I was Danielle, I'd be like, no, nobody puts the baby to bed. I'm not a child. Like, don't put me to bed. And I'm in Mexico. If you guys want to go up and, you know, commence to the smashing, I'll be down here, you know, drinking margaritas, trying to forget, you know, the insanity that I have, like, it is my life now. But no, she's like, okay, so they all go up to the room and they're putting sister to bed. And I'm just like, this is so, and you can tell Roberta is kind of uncomfortable, but you know, she's trying to soften the blow as much as she can. No pun intended. And they like tuck her in and they leave. And Danielle's just like, well, yeah, brushing her teeth and putting her headphones on because she's in the room right next door to them and she doesn't want to hear anything. And she already feels, she says, like she feels the pangs of jealousy because, you know, she's used to Roberta FaceTiming and texting, but, you know, to see her husband draped all over her, canoodling with Roberta, and it's really Garrick, really. I mean, yes, Roberta is reciprocating, but it's really Garrick who's really, like, full on all over Roberta. And next week should be good because they're planning, I guess, I didn't know that Garrick and Roberta are going to actually get married in Mexico, like make it official, and they're going to plan the ceremony. And he just has no time for Danielle. Like, he's just can't be bothered with her. I don't know. But are we surprised that we're here? And side note, I mean, that's it for the show. I mean, that's it for the show. But I also watched Sister Wives. And this isn't a Sister Wives review or recap, but I just have to throw in there that that episode, it is Cody and Mary's 30th birthday. They're going to take a drive to celebrate their non-relationship of, you know, the past 2 years, but whatever, fine. You know, it's something to film. And in my Sister Wife review, the one and only one that I have posted, I had said in that review that I believe Cody is totally over Mary. And if I had one inkling iota that maybe he had the smallest of like feeling for her left, he doesn't. He does not. This episode has made it crystal clear that this man is 1,000% over this woman. He does not want to be with her. He does not want to work it out. He doesn't want to fix anything. And the problem is that he doesn't tell her that. He instead strings her along, leads her on with these like this sort of false hope, like telling her, like, well, if you courted me, if you invited me out, you know, if you flirted with me, you know, if you did backflips and spun on your head, then we could be together. But that's not true. There's nothing she can do that will win this man back. And he just needs to tell her that already. And he keeps saying things like, you know, if we wanted to be together, we would. If we wanted to go out on dates, we would. Like, if we wanted to work this out, we would. And she's like, whoa, hold on. Like, speak for yourself. Like, I haven't given up. I'm not going to give up. I'm going to keep trying. I think that's his way of, like, kind of trying to lead the audience to believe that it's the both of them that don't want this. And it's not. She wants to be with him still. He does not want to be with her. And it's so frustrating because he tells the camera, like, he won't divorce her, even though they are legally divorced. And nor will he lead her to, like, want to divorce him because it goes against his faith and his conscience. But your conscience is fine to string this woman along making her believe that you guys can actually like be together like you once were, like, and you're fine to let her sit in a house by herself and be lonely and sad, pining for you, but your conscience is totally fine with that. It's fine. Okay. I couldn't believe, like, you know, and me, I don't know. So then they get to like this park to have their little takeout dinner, and he goes on this long rant about how, you know, I don't know that he's over polygamy. I'd say maybe he's 1,000% over marriage. He's maybe 50% over polygamy because, you know, this isn't what he signed up for. And he, without naming names, and I'm going to guess he's probably talking about Christine, he knows that one of his wives has never been happy in this polygamist marriage. And he doesn't take any sort of ownership of that because, you know, he's not responsible for everybody's happiness. And that's true. He's not responsible for everybody's personal happiness, but you are responsible within this marriage. You know, like, what would it have killed you to have showered in Christine's shower back in Utah? That wouldn't have been hard and difficult to do. A little thing to just make her happy. You know, she's not, I think, unhappy as a person. She's dissatisfied in this marriage, and he takes no part in it at all. He just expects all of his wives to be happy, be best friends, and kind of dance around him. He doesn't need to put any work into anything. He can just bounce from room to room, house to house, and everything should just like go along, you know, swimmingly. And I'm just like, oh, you know, I don't hate Cody. I'm not even annoyed. I just couldn't believe he was actually like saying this all on television, and Mary's just sitting there like listening, watching. And, you know, he's getting all like riled up and like fiery, and I think it turned her on because she was kind of, you know, he told her to be flirty. So in her attempt to be flirty, you know, she's like, oh, you know, like I could just like kiss you right now. Like, what if I just kissed you right now? And he's looking at her like, are you serious? He's looking at her like, are you serious? Like, no. Like, and he tells her like, happy anniversary, Mary. And I'm like, wow, cold. I think she should have just kissed him, but I'm just like, you know, Mary, if you didn't know, and maybe you do, and you're just putting all this up for the show, like, this man is over you 1,000%. And, you know, I don't know. I guess if you don't care, you can just like bury your head in the sand and wait for your fucking prom. And if you know what movie that is from, what quote that movie's from, leave it in the comments below. That's it though. This isn't a Sister Wives rant. I just couldn't believe, like, I was just like, wow, Cody ain't shit, but whatever. Rate, comment, subscribe if you like. I have like 3 subscribers. I'm really excited. Hi, thanks for subscribing. And that's it for now. I guess I will see you all next week in episode 4 review. Do you guys even like this show? I mean, I don't think it's, you know, it's not, to me, it's not that it's boring. It's just getting kind of predictable for me anyway. And now I'm rambling. So you guys have a good rest of your day, and I'll see you next time. Bye.